Good morning. Welcome to boot camp. We are all set to go. I am so excited. This is my favorite time of the year. Boot camp this is the How Do I Homeschool Boot Camp. It is actually it's going to be a new product, a new service in the fall, but this is the boot camp, and I just decided it's such a fun name. But how do I? So today we're going to talk about how do I start homeschooling. This is really good for our newer mamas. If you've been homeschooling for a while, you may go, oh, I don't need to watch this one. But that's okay because you'll know where to grab it off YouTube because it'll be on YouTube later. You'll be able to grab it and send it to your friends when they ask you, how do I homeschool? Then you say, oh, I got the best video for y'all. So today it's all about law. And I know that's not the fun. That's not usually something you think about when you start homeschooling. Um, the thing is when you start homeschool, most of us came from a public school or a private school education. And when we think about education and homeschooling, we lump it all into one little ball when you kind of have to separate it out when you homeschool because the first part is legal. You have to handle any of your legal requirements. And that's what we're going to go over today. I'm going to show you where to find some stuff. And then other sections is like, curriculum, teaching styles, learning styles. So we'll go over all of that this week. This is like your basic getting started. Curriculum is good for parents who have homeschooled already, but um, it's a good refresher. But anyway, so let me start first. I do have a giveaway going on just today. If you watch, I'm going to have some secret words through the thing, and I'll let you know it's a secret word. And the more you comment, the more entries you get. I will draw a name out of a pot, or I'll get my girls to draw a name out of a pot. All your names will be entered in there, and whoever wins, I'll announce it tomorrow at the workshop. You will get a workshop bundle, Homeschool Consistency. I've just put it out on the website. It is a workshop that I did for the homeschool, let's say, Homeschool Moms Online Conference at Heather Bowen's conference. That will be the main workshop. There is an interview chat in there with some friends. There is workshops to support homeschool consistency. It's all there. So it's like a bundle of workshops and stuff going on. So anyway, my girls, y'all can what? No, I don't want y'all. I'm doing a workshop when I get done. My girls came in here because my 5-year-old told them that I wanted them. I'm like, and they all have bathing suits on, so I don't really want them on camera. I'm like, go on, let me get done with this. We're going to the splash pad later. That is real homeschool mom life. Splash pads. It's summer. So anyway, your first secret word is law. That's your first one. So you can comment questions. You don't have to be just a secret. The more you comment, the more you're going to get entered. But your secret word right now is law. So what are we talking about? Okay, so wait a minute, don't do that. I'm trying to use that. So okay, so we're going to talk about how do I start homeschooling. Well, this is our first workshop. I want to put the name up there at some point. So anyway, okay, let me go down. Okay, so everybody's journey to this decision is going to be different. I want to start by reassuring you that it's okay to ask this question. A lot of, I'm a consultant. I talk to hundreds and hundreds of mamas all year long. And a lot of times, one of the first things that I get and I have to work with is people think that they're doing something wrong to ask this question. It's okay to ask if homeschooling is right for you. It's okay to ask if it's legal. These are good, normal questions. I want you to ask these questions. I don't want you to ever sit somewhere thinking, I don't know what to do, or I don't know if I'm right. Always, questions are always good. Let's see, I got a comment. Good morning. That's a good comment. I like that one. So always know that every person's journey to this will be different. Now, some of y'all will come from you've wanted to homeschool since birth. Some of you will come from you're pulling your child from a public or private brick and mortar school. And those are different journeys toward the same place. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong. So before we go into law, this is my, let's see, let me get it. Let me get rid of that one, go to there. Okay, this is my disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer. I do not claim to be a lawyer, but I am a experienced homeschool parent, and I can point you back where to find your information for where you live. That's all this workshop is about. I do not ever claim to be a lawyer. That's not me. I'm just a mama that's homeschooled 17 years. So I will point you toward where to look for it. I will give you some tools to use to find your laws. If you want to brainstorm with me, we can brainstorm. You can comment below, and that's great. But I will always refer you back to someone like Homeschool Legal Defense, and we'll go over that. So that's my disclaimer. So your first question is, can I homeschool? Yes. In the U.S., it is legal to homeschool in every state. Now, if you do not live in the U.S., you may or may not legally be able to homeschool. You will have to look at your country laws. I live in the U.S. I feel very comfortable talking about that. I can also show you where to find a list. Homeschool Legal Defense has that too. I talk about them a lot. I am not telling you to have membership with them. You can get most of their information for free. They do have extra services that are awesome, but I am not affiliated with them at all. I just love their website. So anyway, so it's going to depend. Some countries it is legal, some countries it is not. I cannot speak to every other country. I can only speak with confidence with the U.S. In the U.S., I have a visitor. In the U.S., education is, don't do it too much, please. In the U.S., the state governments control homeschool law, education, not really homeschool law, but educational law. Homeschool law is usually listed under the educational law. So, can you tell them good morning? Say good morning. No, are we feeling sad? I'm sorry you're feeling sad. Now, give me a hug. Real good hug. I'm sorry. Are they not being nice to you? Well, I want to get this done, okay? Because if I get this done, then we go to the splash pad. But if it takes me longer, and holding you kind of makes it take me longer, then it takes us longer to get to the splash pad. So give me 5 minutes, and then you can go play, okay? Okay, give me 5 minutes. You're very sweet. Okay, so depending on where you live, your state laws, if you're in the U.S., the state laws are going to govern your education. If you're in another country, it may be the country law. I know countries like Germany, it isn't against the law to homeschool. So that is something to keep in mind. So I'm going to screen share and show you. Okay, so I'm not going to lie. I love Homeschool Legal Defense. You can find the summary there. It's free for the most part, and we're going to go there and look. Lacey, don't shake my camera.
My phone is too close to my legs.
It's too close to my legs. Well, that's because I'm taping. Wild woman. Okay, let's go share to the video. Okay, now the secret word is to say good morning, Lacey. That's the that's your secret word. If you want to be entered into the drawing, you can comment good morning to the 5-year-old. This is my youngest. You know what? I didn't even take time to introduce y'all. Okay, so I'm Devin. I'm a mother of 5. We have always homeschooled. My first 4 are all together. They're 19, almost 20, 17, 15, 13, almost 13, and 5. This is my happy surprise.
19.
Yes, he's 19, but he's almost 20 in July. And Olivia will be 13 in July. Almost. Not too long away. And she'll be 6 in August. And she is my...
But she's not far away from
No, she's not far away either. But anyway, so let's go on to where we're going to go. this is just, some days are like this, aren't they? I bet y'all have these kind of days too. Okay, so let's
Because it's
just
like
a
a
minute. You're
1, 1, 2,
interrupting, and we're going to finish our workshop so we can go play.
and 7,
Okay, so when you go to the website,
and 12,
yeah,
13,
when you go to the website, if you look up there and you find legal, let's see if it's going to let me switch it. You can go to the legal, and then you go to, this always fiddly, homeschool my state. Let's see if it's going to let me do that. Sometimes it will, and sometimes it won't. There. Okay, so I'm in Alabama. I'm going to use it as an example because that's where I live. And you can pick wherever you want. As you can see on the map, they have this color right here, the darker color. There's no notification, low regulation, moderate. There are different states. Alabama is one of the low moderation areas. We have 3 options for homeschooling, and you can click on that and it will bring that up. But we're going to go back. Let me make sure that you can still see that. Good. So this is Alabama's. If you live in a different state, you can go click on it. It gives you basic information. Just, yeah. So there are 3 options to homeschool. School is required between 6 and 17. Notification is required. Teacher qualifications. No, unless you use the tutor option, and then you have a teacher certificate. That's just one of 3 options. No state mandated subjects, no assessments, no immunizations required except option 2. Option 2, if you're in Alabama, I can talk more about that, but that's basically keeping a blue card or an exempt form on file at home. But anyway, very easy state to homeschool in. So you can actually go and let's see. Her name is Elysia. Lisi is what we call her, Lysi. But she said, "Good morning." But she is the sweetest thing ever. Yes, she is. And her name actually means sweet. So no matter what state you live in, and if you live in one, you can comment your state and I will go pull that up. But this is Alabama's that gives you, and you can click on these different parts and it will tell you a little bit more. They have basic information. Now to get in detail, you can actually join and get in detailed information, but there are other places. If you're in the US, you can look, and I'm going to screen share that. So the thing is, let's see, let me stop that. The thing is, let me go to my banners. Homeschool Legal Defense is great for getting a summary. That is one place to go. You can also look and see, you can Google if your homeschool state has a, what's it called? Homeschool organization. You can get basic information there. In Alabama, we have a little bit of fussy people, different group, because we have 3 options. We can have, some people think one option is better than a different option. Lacey, I'm going to need you to move because my feet are starting to fall asleep. Go sit up. Go. Thank you, baby. Go get your breakfast because we can't go to Splash Pad if you don't eat. Okay. Anyway, that is what mothers do, right? So, Homeschool Legal Defense, I like sending people there because when you Google homeschool laws for your state, because sometimes you have to know what terminology to use. Like out in Alabama, there is not a homeschool law on Alabama books, but they call it other things. And so if you don't know, you might get it to pull up. If it just depends on whether you ask the right thing or not. So you can look at that. That's the summary on Homeschool Legal Defense, and I showed you that website. Now I can post it the website so you can find it easier later. But let's see. She is a sweet girl, isn't she? But she wasn't real happy when I made her leave. I love her, but my feet were falling asleep because of how we were sitting. But let's see, let's go there. So anyway, another place you can look for law is called law.justia.com. It's good. The main thing is, I'm going to show it to you. The main thing is sometimes you have to know what words to type. It is more of a place to find codes, and it's not just homeschool. It's all over the book. Anything you want to look at will be there. So I'm going to, let's see, screen share and show that to you. That is, let's see, share, share screen. There, let's show you that. So this is what it looks like. You can search here. It's like I can type in Alabama homeschool law, and I'm just using Alabama as an example. Now they want me to. No, I don't want to. I don't want. I don't want to. I don't want to. I want this, not that. Okay, let's see. Now I do. Now you see, this is what happens with me. Okay, we're going to hit that. And then when you roll down, it has, you kind of have to go down. So it has sections, like here's autonomy of non-public schools. And you can just, it just goes through and you kind of, you have to know what you're looking for. Usually with homeschooling, you're looking for codes. Like section 16. So you can go to Homeschool Legal Defense. You can look it up. It might list a code, and then you could come over here and type it in. Probably need to type in Alabama, the word Alabama when you put the code, and then it's going to pull it up. And you're, I mean, kind of, you're going to see the actual law. Now, you may not care about seeing the actual codes, and that's okay. You don't have to care about that, but it's just a nice way to find what the laws are. So, and it does help to know what terms to search sometimes. I actually use this. I'm working on a homeschool workbook and I'm putting that in there, and I actually wanted to pull up some codes, and that's where I found them. So that is a good place to look. It just, if you're kind of a law nerd or a legal nerd and you want to pull that up, I like sending people to Homeschool Legal Defense first. You can also go to your state if you have a state homeschool organization. In some states, it's called CHEF. Other places, it might be called Home Education Association. And then you're having it come from several different areas. One thing I learned in Alabama is when they added the new law, anytime they add a new law, it's like they add it, but they don't know how it works yet. I'm just going to tell y'all that's just the truth. And in Alabama, we had a little fiddly. So I like to take several different sources in consideration. So, anyway, so what else do you need to keep in mind when you're deciding to homeschool? I'm going to get rid of this screen right here. There. So there are some other things that you need to keep in mind. One thing you need to know is the compulsory age. Let's see, right there. Wait, no, I have to undo that one. Hide. Well, is it show? It is glitching on me. Give me a minute. Oh my gosh. It doesn't want to pull up. There, now. Compulsory age. This is the age when your children must be in school. They must be registered somewhere, is basically what they mean. It may or may not be public, private, or a home-based education. It depends on where you live. Now, being homeschooled is legal in the U.S. Every state has a homeschool, maybe not homeschool law. They may call it something else, but every state has the right to homeschool. You just got to figure out what your state laws are. If you're outside the U.S., you may not have that right, and you got to look and see how that works where you are. But in the states, we have compulsory age, and that means the children like in Alabama, between 6 and 17, they have to be registered somewhere. Now, why do you keep an eye on this? Is number one is if you're starting to homeschool from birth, let's say you have your children, like Cole, I decided to homeschool him for preschool. He was 2. And by the time he got to kindergarten, I was hooked and we were not going to public school. I needed to know legally when I needed to have him registered. At that time, it was 7. He didn't have to have any paperwork anywhere until 7. Now in Alabama, it's 6. Your state may be 5. So this is something you keep an eye on, that you don't automatically have to always register when they're in kindergarten, but there's no right or wrong. You can do that if you want to. Other things to look for, and we'll talk more about this when we talk about high school, latchkey laws. A lot of this comes around when your children are teenagers, and that's why we will talk more in detail then. What are your latchkey laws in your state? Do you have curfew laws? My city has a school curfew law between the time of 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. They have to be in their school. They can't be roaming the streets. And so these are things that you need to keep aware of. Can your children participate in any public school programs? In Florida, they have the Tim Tebow law. Alabama does not have one, but we have some loopholes that kids can do sports in high school. So, what is going on? And a good place for you to find this will be in your local homeschool groups on Facebook or in person. That's where it's going. You're going to be able to find those, but we will talk more about those because most of these come into play more when you've got teenagers, and that's next week. I don't want to bog us down, but these are things to take into consideration. Ask me questions if you want to. You can comment if you got here late. I have a giveaway going on, and the more you comment, the more you're entered. Our first super secret word was law. Now we'll be, let's see, our next super secret word to comment is splash pad. Okay, totally random word, but I'm going there after I finish. If you're local, you can come join me. We're going to the splash pad. There's no pool there. But that's why she keeps coming in here is because she wants to go to the splash pad. She's come in twice since I got her out of my lap. Okay, so what are some other things to take into consideration? Let's see, I got some comments. Um, I'm so glad it's helpful because I love talking homeschool, and this is like the most unfun workshop of the week because law is just law. It's like you can't make it exciting. That's why I threw in the giveaway because you have to know. And as a homeschool mother, the longer you homeschool, it will become second nature to you. And I'm not even kidding because I can talk homeschool law all the time, but it's because it becomes you have to know that what you're doing is legal and you have to kind of own it. And I don't want you dependent on someone else telling you where to find things and whether you're legal or not. You need to know for yourself because there's power in knowledge. So that is why I always start with this one and why I think it's so important. Now, I am not perfect. I'm not a lawyer. When I have questions, I call Homeschool Legal Defense. I ask them crazy questions. It is usually never, I don't think I've ever used them for myself, but I will ask them some crazy questions. And usually they say, oh, well, Miss Basco, this is what we think. And that they don't, they don't ever say, hey, that's is absolutely this way. It said, this is what we think. And they have a good knowledge base. They studied law. They're lawyers. If I get in a wreck, I'm going to go find a lawyer. So I love to ask them their opinion. I've asked them some where they say, well, we're going to have to look at that. That was funny though. But anyway. Yeah, it's good to know. I mean, that's I want my mamas to own it. I want you to feel secure and happy and confident in your decisions. And we can talk law anytime you want. You can PM me. I can, if I'm not in your state, I cannot guarantee I know anything, but I might be able to connect you with someone, or I can look at it on Homeschool Legal Defense and I've homeschooled long enough, I can kind of and they're great. You can always call them and ask questions. I think they're really great and they have great benefits if you decided to join. Wonderful benefits. Way beyond what you see on the outside and just law. Okay, so some things to consider. If you are coming out of the public school system, if your child has an IEP, you need to, for one thing, if you're working with an umbrella school or at some point, you need to get a hold of your IEP. Hopefully you have a copy of it. And the reason is because then you can go to your pediatrician and look for services. The public school system legally they're supposed to provide services, but if you are not registered in their school system, they may or may not be able to. And it's not really so much. When I was very young, I used to think they were out to get homeschoolers, and they might have been. But now I have, as an older mother, I have a little bit of a different take on it. They may not have the money to supply those services. So they give first preference to people who are registered in their school district. If they have the extra money, then they start open it up to others. And that's from what I've talking to people, that is what they've told me. So I think free is okay. But if you have the ability to work with your insurance and get those services through a private sector, you may be happier in the long run with the services you are getting. I don't want you to get overwhelmed with that. I don't have a special needs workshop scheduled for the next 2 weeks, but we will do something later. We have Homeschooling with Disabilities with Heather. She is very knowledgeable. She's in the group. You can always tag her and ask questions. But this is something that you need to weigh in the balance if you're making a decision to homeschool, because depending on what is in the IEP, you may decide you don't want to homeschool. I'm not saying not to homeschool. I'm not saying to homeschool. I'm saying most of the special needs kids I have met have done better with homeschooling, but you may have to look outside the public school system for services. And I mean, you need your IEP. So, what are some options in the school system? Some states offer things. That's something else. That's a pro or a con that you need to look at. They may offer it through an online program. We have some in Alabama. These are not technically homeschool. They are public school at home. You are legally considered a public schooler, but it is a very viable option. People use it. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law live in South Carolina. They use the public school at home option. Their kids are at home, but they're going through, I think it's Connections or K-12. I can't remember which one, but those are programs. Those are things that you need to, sometimes you don't know that you have these options out there if you don't know the questions to ask. So, let's see. Yes, they can be. And an IEP may not be necessary, but if you have a diagnosis tied to that IEP, it can get you further along. And that's really usually with the IEP, what you will want. IEP will not give you any services, but having the diagnosis, no, having the diagnosis can help. So that is why you will grab the IET. You want all your records when you leave the school system. And that is because if you don't have that, then you're going to have to go get another diagnosis. And it just helps. It kind of puts the parent a little bit further along. So you're not going to get any IEP services if you have your IEP, but that diagnosis will move you further along, and you can take that to your pediatrician and say, here's the diagnosis. I want to look for this specialist. Who can you refer me to? And then that's just an insurance loop and trying to get insurance to kick in some of that pay. So that is why I say you need to get your IEP. Let's see. We're going to go back to the banners. Okay, so now this is the sticky one. Let's see. I need to roll down a little bit. Another thing to consider, and if you are no longer married, have never been married, or whatever that is, I know I don't want to go there. We don't want to go there, but you have to have control of their education. That can weigh in on whether you homeschool or not, if you have control of their educational decisions. And that's just part of life. And that's all I'll say. But just look in your divorce decree. I can't remember what it's called. That's just one of the many things you've got to take into consideration when you're making the decision. So anyway, where do you find support? I'm going somewhere with this. I know it sounds like I just flipped, but when you're looking for information, you've got Homeschool Legal Defense, you've got the Law Justia. You can find stuff. You can go find your national groups, your local groups. There may be some official in-person groups like an association. Facebook groups are great. Bloggers are great. YouTube's great. But I always suggest that you make sure you're taking the same information from several places, because sometimes you might have a new mama tell you what they think, and they might be partly right, but you've got to make sure you have several places confirming what you're asking. If you're asking a legal question, make sure you have several places confirming it, not just one person in one group or multiple people in one group. Make sure you're seeing it several places. Another thing, just from experience, if you're in a group that's volatile, if it's a Facebook group and they're giving you advice, but they're volatile and they attack people, that might not be the place to get information. I do know a local group like that, and it's kind of disturbing. And it's not that you're getting horrible, and you may not be getting horrible information, but I don't like anything that's volatile because there's something behind it. So, anyway, so that is where you can find support and where you can find legal information to help confirm everything else you've seen. So I can't believe we've talked 30 minutes. So now we're down to the nitty gritty. How do you make this decision? Honestly, you have to go with your gut. I'm going to tell you it all comes down to your why. How strong is it? Is it strong enough? Is your pros outweighing your cons, or your cons outweighing your pros? But honestly, the simple desire to homeschool is a good enough reason. You don't need more than that. Sometimes just I've talked to moms who they wanted to homeschool, but at the same time, they had a great school system. And so they felt guilty. It's okay. You have the right to homeschool. Legally, you can homeschool, at least in the US. Okay, she's back. She's back. Um, but you have the right. That desire is big enough and strong enough. But you have to you have to weigh everything. When I decided to homeschool, it started just with a simple for us, I had already known homeschoolers. I loved the idea of homeschooling, but we started because I could not afford preschool. That is how I started 17 years ago. I had graduated from university. I had always planned for the kids to go to school. I was going to work. Um, I had a degree I loved, but when I started researching and looking, I had a 2-year old and a newborn. And when I was looking at daycares, what I could afford was unacceptable. And what I wanted was way outside my price range. And at that point, because I knew homeschoolers, I just looked at my husband and said, I'm just gonna homeschool him for preschool. I think that's what we're gonna do. And he agreed. And because he had gone with me, I was going to work to afford preschool. I would be paying to work is basically how it was. So I decided to homeschool. And by the time he hit kindergarten, I was in love with it. And every time I thought about registering him, my little heart was sinking. I was like, I did not want some other woman to see my kid's eyes light up when he learned something. And at that point, Juliana was 2, and I was pregnant with my third. And I was like, well, I guess just continue. And so that's how we started, and we have loved it. So sometimes just the desire is strong enough, but sometimes I've talked to a lot of mamas, and many times they've come because there's problems. Just your desire to homeschool is enough. Just the fact that you feel like it is an answer to whatever your issue is, that is enough. You don't have to go any further than that. Now, I did make a cute little pro and con PDF for y'all. I'll upload that after this is done. But I want to encourage you today that you are enough. You're enough for the journey. You're enough for the battle. Homeschool mamas, we don't know everything. Math is my worst subject. I have one that just finished pre-cal, and I could not teach that to her, and that's okay. We can learn with our kids, or if we find something beyond our ability, we can find someone to help. There's so many awesome resources. So don't let your belief that you can't do it discourage you today. Don't let the law can be overwhelming. Don't let that discourage you today because honestly, you are enough. I'm going to get rid of that. So anyway, so comment below. You have 2 secret super words when you watch the video. You can get an entry for both words. Enter below. You will get that in the drawing. I will draw in the morning right before we do our next workshop. What do you think? Do you like homeschooling? You do? Do you like your teacher? Who's your teacher? Are you growling today? Who's your teacher? What's your favorite subject? Her favorite subject lately has been phonics. She is doing fabulous. I'm very proud of her.
I like math more.
You like math more? I know you like math more. You are very good with math. In fact, she's probably way beyond what she should be with math. But reading has been a struggle, and she's finally doing awesome, all because of Pizza Hut book rewards. It changed everything, people. Look for those rewards. But anyway, this is my life. You're lucky you have not had all 5 come through. Well, all the other 4 too. She likes to be live. She will sit here when the camera's off and pretend to be doing a live. Yeah. We'll eat you up. But anyway, that is the end of our workshop on law. If you have a question, answer below. It'll enter you in the workshop and I'll answer with you. If you need to PM me and ask questions in private, that's good too. Just send me a PM. You are always, always welcome. Let me see what somebody's saying. Look, see, somebody's talking right there. See, they like you. How can they not like her? She's like the resident mascot. Anyway, have a wonderful day. We will be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We will announce our winner from today. And we'll start curriculum. We have 2 days this week on curriculum. The first day will be assessments, standardized testing, scope and sequence, and all the things you think about before you homeschool. She is a mess. And then the next day we'll talk about actual curriculum. So it's a lot of information the next 2 days, and we will have a lot of fun. But I will see you later. Have a great day. Go find a splash pad. Go do something fun. You look like a zombie. Bye, guys. You know, wave, 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 wave. I can't turn off the live if you grab my hand, you wild woman. Bye, guys.